After 100,000 miles, they don't want the car anymore. So we're gonna start on the outside. I'm gonna give you a quick little walk around and show you some of the things, the longevity, how this is holding up after 130,000 miles. I have a 2014, so it's the first year of the redesign, and this went all the way to like 2022, 2021, somewhere around that ballpark. Essentially, if mine holds up pretty well, then that means that if you have an 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever it may be, yours should hold up well, as long as you're taking care of it. That's always the thing. You gotta make sure you're taking care of your cars. Otherwise, if you don't, they're not gonna last. But I'm gonna start with the outside. We'll hop on the inside, and then I'll tell you guys about the driving experience now that I've hit 130,000 miles on this thing. In my last video, I hit 100,000 miles and it was a little bit of a nightmare. But I do love this thing. I truly do enjoy the Jeep Grand Cherokee. If I didn't have a sports car, this probably wouldn't check all the boxes, but for everything I need my second car to do, this does it well, amazing, great, you know, no complaints, no issues. So let's talk about the outside. I don't do anything. I don't wax this thing. I don't clay bar it. I don't do anything. This car gets washed maybe once every 2 to 3 months. Other than the basics, you know, I do take this through car washes at times, so there's probably swirl marks if I were to look at this really closely. But the outside has held up really well. Considering that the front of this has no PPF, no nothing at all, other than some bug guts, she's looking good. Teeth all clean, and no oxidization. I think that's the correct pronunciation of that. None of that going on as yet. Yeah, no imperfections, no big dents, no dings. Those 2 little holes are from the front license plates. I'm not gonna fix those, don't care that much. These wheels are the stock wheels that came with this. There is a little bit of peeling on one of them. I think it's on the other side. I'll show you guys that later. But everything looks good. My chrome is holding up well. Even these little pillars, these tend to fade and get a little sun damage from time to time, but these are actually holding up really well. So I'm pretty, you know, genuinely happy with how well this car is aging. And on the back end, nothing. It's an Ohio car, but it looks good. You know, little TLC needed. Couple little spots that are starting to, you know, show some age, but considering it is 10 years old at this point, I'm pretty satisfied with what I'm getting. All right, so I'm going to show you guys under the hood, and as I said earlier, I don't wash this thing, so you'd imagine that I don't wash under the engine bay either. It does need a little bit of cleaning up, a lot of cleaning up. I'll be honest, this thing is my workhorse. It is neglected. Okay, well, anyways, as I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted, everything on this one, it works as it should. Air conditioning is nice and solid again now that this condenser has been replaced and the radiator, so that's all good. Air conditioning system is recharged and ready to go. So far I've been enjoying it, thankfully. I haven't needed to top off anything like my power steering fluid. It's not leaking any oils. I did have to replace the oil cooler 2 times. That's a fun job, but hopefully you don't have to. That's like a $1,200, $1,300 job at the dealership, so be ready. Spark plugs also done. Everything was done at 100,000 miles, and so far this thing has been a champ. I did have a couple videos of me towing with this thing, so you guys can see my experience with this. It was right around 3,000 pounds, 3,500 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark. No, right around 3,800 pounds. I can't do math. But this thing did that, no problem, 420 miles with ease. So yeah, eventually I will get under here and clean this up. But she's happy, and so am I. I'm going to start with the back. I don't really clean this at all either. You can see there's just a lot of dog hair, all of that stuff. Even under here, I mean, I'm using it. She's working. But everything is as it should be. All my electrical outlets are working. Everything is just fine. This does have air suspension. It is the Overland trim, so lots of bells and whistles, all that stuff. The only thing I really added to this car is this dash cam. I could have done a little bit better job on that routing there. I need to change that eventually. More to come there. Did just install these visors just to add a little bit of style to this thing. But in here I have all-weather mats, and I actually like using this house outlet more than I do the electrical connections for the phones, because that charges a lot faster and a lot better. My leather is holding up really well. No complaints, no issues. And if you don't have all weather mats, trust me, they make a huge difference. But yeah, back seats, 10 out of 10 still. All right, front seats. This is where, you know, I sit. This is where most of the usage takes place. And again, all weather mats come in handy. This leather starting to show some age. Could clean this up just a little bit to bring the leather back to life because it does sit in the sun a bit. But very comfortable seats, nice and broken in. It's like driving around in a Lazy Boy. I really think that. I do actually have a couple issues on the interior. One is this shifter. Sometimes it sticks. So when I try to shift, what happens is, I don't know if there's something under here, but this starts to stick to the piece above it. So eventually I have to pull this and clean this up, or make sure that this is actually where it's supposed to be. It is starting to strip around this handle. That's a common one on these. I do have screen protectors on both of these, so that makes it pretty nice. These are holding up well. Next plan is to upgrade this and probably either do like an 18 retrofit into this, or I'm going to try to test some of the aftermarket ones. So if you're new to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button. I'll show you guys some of these things as I get this Jeep good, because I think once I get this Android Auto CarPlay updated, this won't need anything else. I got dual climate control, air suspension, everything that I could possibly need in this car right now. Just look at this panoramic. I love that. Over here, got a little bit of a peeling happening right there on that, so I'll get that fixed eventually, or never, to be honest. I do have my dash cam that's set up in here, so that's there. Other than that, the interior is all stock, all factory. This occasionally does not turn on. Every like 30 to 40 starts, this will just, I'll show you, I'll insert a clip here. Another problem I have with this is sometimes I turn it on and the screen just does not turn on whatsoever. And then what it'll do is it'll turn everything on max, which I'm pretty sure the fail-safe on this is to go to full heat or something like that. So it's kind of annoying. And I can give this like 5 minutes on average, and usually I'll turn the car off and start it again, and that works itself out. But I'd say this happens probably about every 30 starts, maybe not that many, probably closer to like every 50 starts. So this one hasn't been one that I've dug into far too deeply. The only other imperfection in here is my sunglasses holder. This guy rattles a little bit. Eventually need to fix that, but I'm not really going to. So yeah, steering wheel still holding up, very nice. You know, again, could polish this leather up, could get this nice and clean, but this is my baby. She's my daily. She works. She's a work truck. And I'm gonna insert some pictures so you guys can see what this thing is doing all the time. So originally I was going to drive this around and talk about it, but I'm fortunate to say that I don't have a whole lot to report back. I did this last time at 100,000 miles, right around that ballpark, and I had a lot to talk about. And I still feel the way that I do about this Grand Cherokee. If you are not prepared to spend some money or find a great mechanic that you trust, or, you know, spend the time in the garage and really work on this thing, it is needy. And it is not for the faint of heart. No matter what people try to tell you, as much as the 3.6 has been around a long time, it's got its quirks, it's got its things that make the 3.6 what it is. So right around that 70 mile per hour interval, I get a little bit of a wobble in the wheel. I have new rotors, I have new pads, all that stuff was done within the last like 10,000 miles. So I know that there's something going on with this front left suspension. When I go over bumps, you hear this little like, it's not a rattle. It's almost like, what's the best way to describe it? It almost sounds like a turkey call, like a, I don't know how to make this sound, but it's just this little rattle, but not quite a full rattle. And so I think that one of my bearings or control arm, something going on with that. So I'm gonna have to dig into that a little bit, but I've driven lots of miles since then and it's intermittent, so I think it's just starting to get worse. I'm hoping it's not anything major because again, people talk about it all the time. The air suspension on this is scary, but it's really not that bad. I think that what happens is people buy one of these used, and you have a car, you know, I paid $18,000 for this car with 70,000 miles on it back in 2020. A big SUV, 4-wheel drive. It can tow 7,200 pounds, and it is fairly safe for what it is. So that's really hard to beat at this price point. And even 130,000 miles is nothing for this thing. I've seen them in the forums going 200,000 miles, and on the original powertrain, that is. So with all that being said, I've had a pleasant 30,000 miles since all the headaches that this thing has caused me. And with the little minor interior things, it's really not even bad at all. It's just these little things. It's 10 years old. It's to be expected. But I'm actually really impressed with how everything is holding up. People get in this and they still think that it's a fairly new car. I'm like, no, this is 10 years old. This has been around for a lot of time. And I hope to take it to more places. It's been everywhere, honestly, all the way to Canada and back many times. And I look forward to driving it. It's one of my favorites. The cooled seats, or ventilated seats, still work really well. The heated seats work amazing. I love that it has 3 levels of toastiness, so you can make sure that your buns are right where they need to be. I don't know. I just have a lot of good things to say, with that caution of this is a Jeep product. Jeep is not the most reliable. I don't care what anyone wants to argue with me. That's great that yours has made it to 300,000 miles. But unfortunately, the consumer reports show that Jeep has lost its reliability rating, which I don't know if it ever really had it. But I say this to say that, you know, don't buy this thinking you're getting a 4Runner. Don't buy this thinking you're getting a Toyota Corolla. You do have to maintain this. You do have to take care of it. And trust me, it will take care of you. You may just get to a point where you're tired of putting money into it. And I know that a lot of people get to that point with cars at different points in their ownership. Some people, the minute they need new tires, it's time to change the car and buy a new one. Some people, it's, you know, they set a budget. They're like, after $5,000 of maintenance, it's becoming a headache. They don't want to deal with it anymore. Some people, it's just mileage. After 100,000 miles, they don't want the car anymore. Some people, 60,000 miles, gone. We all have different budgets and lifestyles and what we're looking for. But anyways, I'm going to stop talking there. Just know that 130,000 miles, Jeep Grand Cherokee has been solid. And I stick to what I said in the original video. There's a lot of little things that this thing has that make it, it's just a Jeep thing. It's just what it is. And if you're not about that, be careful. And if you are able to spend the $2,000, $3,000 maybe on a warranty, you just might be happy that you did. That's all I can say. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Drop any comments, concerns, questions, any tips, tricks, whatever it may be that's on your mind. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.